Hello guys, in this video I want to talk to you about the Crusades and Jesus Christ from the point of view of new chronology. Now I gotta say this stuff is really controversial. You know, some of you might get a little bit emotional. However, uh, there's one thing you gotta understand about all of my videos. I approach subjects as a historian, okay? Like, it's not going to be a theological argument. Like, I'm not gonna, give you proofs for the existence of God or anything like that. We will deal with dates, names, places. Like, I'm not a theologian, I am a historian, and that's how I approach questions. So, um, if you are clueless, like if you have no idea about what new chronology is, please check out my other video. Like, I kind of give an intro to Fomenko's chronology. You can find it on my channel. But it is essentially this controversial theory authored by Anatoly Fomenko, who's a great mathematician, by the way. So he's kind of like me. Like, I work as a software developer. Like, I code, programs, but I do history on the side, and that's how he is. He's a mathematician and he does history on the side. And according to his extremely controversial new chronology theory, history as we know it is kind of fake. A lot of things are not where they're supposed to be. And in this particular video, I'd like to address Jesus and the Crusades. Okay, Jesus Christ, where and when he lived, and the Crusades as a consequence. Now, history as we know it, mainstream history says that Jesus was born. Well, if we look at today's date, is 2020 right now when I'm making this video. I mean, Jesus Christ was born 2,000 years ago, right? He was born in the year 30 BCE, roughly. And according to Fomenko, that's not the case. Jesus was born in the year 1000, approximately. And you might say, well, how the heck? Well, he invented his own theory. It's not true. Jesus was born 2,000 years ago. Well, let me ask you a really interesting question. Well, what evidence do we have for, kind of Jesus and for his life? Well, as far as, evidence, it's minimal, to be honest. Okay, there really is not much physical evidence for Jesus existing. However, we have some. Okay. Of course. First we have to, talk a little bit about, history, which most of you know. Well, Jesus and 3 criminals were executed on a cross, and Jesus was poked, and his blood was gathered in a Holy Grail. And after terrible suffering, Jesus was removed from the cross. And what happened to him after? Well, that's a really interesting question. And he was wrapped in a shroud, the famous Shroud of Turin. And even atheists, they kind of, I don't think they deny that, Shroud of Turin is a real thing. They might say, well, maybe that's not Jesus there, but it is actually one of those few really, really incredible objects in this world, the Shroud of Turin, because, so many things have been shown to be fakes, like the Dead Sea Scrolls have been, proven to be fakes just recently. And so many other, artifacts and things have been shown to be fake, but Shroud of Turin has not been shown to be fake. So what am I trying to say? Well, what are the dates for the Shroud of Turin? Like when, they did carbon dating and they found that it dates back to, guess what? The year 1000. So if the Shroud of Turin is a legitimate thing, if it's an authentic object in which Jesus Christ was wrapped after he died, well, if all of that is correct, if all of these assumptions are correct, well, Jesus died in the year 1000, because that's what carbon dates give us for this shroud. And Fomenko says, well, yeah, that's when Jesus died. And as an immediate consequence of his execution, the Crusades started. So according to Fomenko, Crusades, he thinks it's kind of ridiculous for people to go have a war 1000 years after something has happened. Like, I mean, would it make sense for anyone to go to war over something that happened 1000 years ago? Like, let's say, I don't know, like, something written by St. Thomas Aquinas. Like, I mean, if his, like, I don't know, we want to get his books, let's say Germany wants to get a hold of his, authentic manuscripts, and Germany invades Italy, to get, kind of things related to St. Thomas Aquinas, and he was an Italian, by the way. Well, that's what Fomenko says is the case, and it's kind of ridiculous, okay? Like, mainstream theory does not make sense, and according to him, Jesus died in the year 1000, and as a consequence of his death, there was, conflicts, there were people for his, all these different fractions and people with their strong emotions, they went to war over Jesus's death right after he died. So, pretty controversial, but that's what caused the Crusades, according to Fomenko. Jesus's execution right when it happened, not 1000 years later.